and welcome. My name is Priscilla Rojas, and I'm the chair of the BPDA board. Thank you for joining the August 14th, 2025 Economic Development and Industrial Corporation of Boston board meeting. At this time, Boston County Development Agency is hosting public meetings in a hybrid setting for the health, safety, and accessibility of Boston residents. Hybrid means that our board meetings are conducted in person at City Hall, in our boardroom on the 9th floor, and virtually via Zoom and Boston City TV. For more information and updates, visit bostonplans.org. The open public meeting law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications, at Xfinity Channel 26, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon 5 Channel 962. It's also being live streamed at boston.gov/cable. If there's anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting, we ask that you please kindly identify yourself now. Okay, seeing none.
All right, maybe put it more match. I wonder if it's better if those of us turn our microphones off when we're speaking, because I think there's some feedback.
Is that the thing? So maybe turn. Okay, I'll go red instead of green. All right. Yeah, it tells us not to. Okay. I think it's all the thing. Yeah.
And go ahead and turn our mics off except who's speaking, and now we'll go back to turning it on and
On
off.
and off. Okay. You do that. So this should be interesting. We're going to start the meeting with a roll call and practice that. So roll call for the meeting: Ms. Bennett, Mr. Shepherd,
Present.
Dr. Lansworth, Mr. O'Malley,
Present.
and I, the chair, Ms. President. Item number 1: request authorization for the approval of the minutes of the July 17th, 2025 board meeting. Motions in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote: Ms. Bennett,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Dr. Lansworth,
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 2: request authorization to extend the license agreement with Magellan Distribution Corp. for storage cage B1 at 12 Channel Street in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park for a period of 5 years, commencing August 1st, 2025, and ending July 31st, 2030. Maureen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Magellan Distribution has an existing tenant at 12 Channel Street, Suite 803, whose principal business is the distribution of products manufactured by companies such as 3M, Norton, Marengo, and Trumpeter. Magellan's permanent distribution space is approximately 4,415 square feet on the 8th floor. Beginning in 2015, the BPDA board approved license agreements that allow Magellan to license cage B1 in the basement as additional storage. The most recent 5-year license term expired on July 31st, 2025. Magellan has again requested extending the license agreement for an additional 5-year term, which shall commence on August 1st, 2025 and expire on July 31st, 2030. The monthly license fee for cage B1 shall be $525. The BPDA will collect $31,500 in rental payments over the term. Staff is recommending that the director be authorized to extend the license agreement between BPDA and Magellan Distribution for storage cage B1. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Maureen. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote: Ms. Bennett,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Dr. Lansworth,
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item number 3: personnel. Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam Secretary, and Director Shen. We have 4 contracts for consideration on the EDIC agenda with the exact details included in the board memos. We have in the Administration Division, Caitlin Conley and Samantha Vidal, in the Office of General Counsel, Margaret Carter, and in the Director's Office, Claire Noble. I'll answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote: Ms. Bennett,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Dr. Lansworth,
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Mike. And that concludes the agenda items. So I need a motion to adjourn the EDIC meeting.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote: Ms. Bennett,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Dr. Lansworth,
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Okay. Thank you for joining the August 14th, 2025 Boston Redevelopment Authority Board meeting. At this time, the Boston Planning Development Agency is hosting public meetings in a hybrid setting for the health, safety, and accessibility of Boston residents. Hybrid means that our board meetings are conducted in person at City Hall in our boardroom on the 9th floor and virtually via Zoom and Boston City TV at the same time. For more information and updates, visit bostonplans.org. The open public meeting law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications at Xfinity Channel 26, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Buds Channel 916. This is also being live streamed at boston.gov/people. I ask that if there's anyone in the audience who's recording this meeting to please identify themselves now. Okay, seeing none. To begin this meeting, we'll start with a roll call. Ms. Bennett.
Present.
Mr. Shepherd.
Present.
Dr. Lansmark.
Present.
Mr. O'Malley.
Present.
And the chair is present. Item number 1, request authorization for the approval of the minutes of the executive session of the July 17, 2025 board meeting and the minutes of the regular session of the July 17, 2025 board meeting. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Dr. Lansmark.
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 2, request authorization to extend the license with Boston Waterboat Marina Incorporated for the continued use of approximately 250 square feet of land and approximately 96,625 square feet of water sheet on the north side of Long Wharf, located in the downtown waterfront, until March 31st, 2032, with a single 5-year extension term option. Dennis.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Boston Waterboat Marina is now a woman-owned business enterprise, have been a family-owned business for over 150 years, operating primarily at Long Wharf. In conversations with Waterboat Marina, I would ask them when they first came to Long Wharf, no one knows, they've just always been there. I met them in the 1990s. They currently host between 25 and 30 vessels on any given day during the season, and their license with BRA is currently scheduled to expire in March of 2027. Unfortunately, despite this impressive tenure, Waterboat Marina will be required to vacate Long Wharf at an undefined future date to accommodate either the planned resiliency measures to protect the developed city from the rising tides, or consolidation of public ferry services, which is part of the 2024 Waterfront Master Plan. The fact of life is that, through no fault of their own, Waterboat Marina will be required to leave Long Wharf with a very precarious outlook regarding remaining in business with no place to relocate to. However, the needed funding for the resiliency and the transport hub is also precarious. It's impossible to precisely predict when either of those actions will take place due to uncertainty on funding on state, federal, and many levels. Staff is not predisposed to preemptively terminate the business relationship with Waterboat Marina until such time that one of the high uses that I discussed are ready to be acted upon. We're proposing that the existing license with Waterboat Marina be extended through 2032. Waterboat Marina will, however, be required to vacate Long Wharf with at least 1 year notice for one of the two events I discussed, the rising tide, addressing that, or the consolidation effects. Staff has conducted a marina market analysis, and I personally believe that the rate currently charged is very reflective of the market. We'll receive $150,000 in 26 and $155,000 in 27. Proposing going forward, we will carry on that escalation at 3.5% every year for as long as Waterboat Marina is there. We're also proposing an additional option term through 2037, again, in the event that no resiliency or consolidation efforts have taken place. All of those will be on the same terms and conditions, where in vacancy will be subject to a 12-month notice to vacate. But until that happens, we would love to keep Waterboat Marina active, bringing visitors to Boston who come and spend money. So thank you. Any questions you have?
Great, thank you. Questions and comments from the board? Yeah, I guess just in general, like, how does that, one, I think the terms and the notice and that we're talking about it this early is great. But yeah, what is the, I guess, outlook, right, for those two scenarios and funding? Like, where would that even come from? Is that from?
My understanding, neither of those are my specialty, but I know enough.
Yeah,
I know enough to be dangerous. The federal funding is precarious from talking, and as is the state funding. So it's not really known when it will come.
Yes, it's a federal state.
And the design will take a year or two once the funding does come.
Okay.
But Waterboat Marina is graciously willing to be a willing participant in it, and we're trying to work with them as they're working with us.
Yeah, and that design portion of that, is that, I get really confused over which jurisdictions or which, would that be something that the agency is responsible for leading, or is that a state and a federal type thing?
I believe it's the agency.
Okay.
Is that true, Carlos? Yep.
Okay, just wanna-
Yeah, I'm sorry, I never got as versed in that as I wish I was at this moment.
Yeah, no, that's, did somebody want to? Yeah.
So through our coastal resilience delivery team led by Rich McGinnis, we've done a lot of work at Long Wharf to study the 2030 flood pathways and also 2070. So we have a lot of that conceptual design work too, which we would then want to refine to a deeper level of design to bring us into construction. So we have that conceptual level design. As Dennis mentioned, we really need to focus on the funding and finding different sources. That's for the resilience. And then also for the water terminal consolidation, we are seeking and looking for different grant opportunities to enable that as well. And so both of those things, we would take the ownership of leading those efforts, obviously with a lot of coordination required from all of the different entities, MBTA being a big one for the water ferry transportation.
Okay. No, that makes perfect. Go ahead. Do you want put your mic on?
I just want to make sure that there has been already community engagement,
Yes.
especially on the design alternatives
Right.
for Long Wharf. So this has been an ongoing process. I personally attended some of those meetings. So, and, I think the work that we're doing now is in anticipation if, things happen and change in the future.
Yeah, no, that's great. It just helps me just to ground myself in which study and the pieces and everything.
There's
so
a lot of moving pieces at Long
yeah.
Wharf, so we need to get them all coordinated before we move and make these investments.
No, perfect. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you to Rebecca and Kairos as well.
Yeah. Item number 3, request authorization to extend the final designation status to Nubian Ascend Partners LLC for the long-term lease of the Blair Lot in the Nubian Square area of Roxbury for a period of 6 months until February 28th, 2026. Yoon.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. The Blair Lot is a BPDA-owned site consisting of approximately 87,879 square feet of underutilized land between Washington Street, Harrison Ave, Palmer Street, and Eustis Street in Roxbury. And this parcel was the subject of an intensive community planning process through the Plan Nubian Square and through subsequent site-specific community meetings. The RFP for the Blair Lot was released in November 20th, 2019. And after several public meetings and community review through the Project Review Committee, Nubian Ascends was tentatively designated for redevelopment of the site at the December 2020 BPDA board meeting. So this particular proponent proposes to create approximately 280 gross square feet of mixed-use development, including affordable housing, a parking garage, a lab training and office building, and a combined cultural hall that includes a marketplace and culinary center. The proponent was awarded final destination status for the project on March 16th, 2023, and one extension for their final designation in August 2024. During this past extension period, the proponent secured some of the funding for the project, advanced negotiations regarding an easement request from an abutting nonprofit, and presented an initial concept for an expanded master plan and that approach to the BPDA staff. As a reminder, this development is envisioned to be executed in 5 phases of construction with separate ground leases for each building. In order for Nubian Ascents Partners LLC to maintain their final destination status and receive the ground leases for each of the site components, they will be required to have the financing acquired, the ground leases fully negotiated and ready for execution, and be ready for construction commencement by the dates that are recorded in the board memo. So during this extension, this proponent intends to advance the master plan for the project, secure additional remaining funding for the project, sign in tenants and subtenants for the lab and garage portions, and seek resident companies for the performance hall. So with that being said, I request that the board authorize the final destination extension for a period of 6 months to Nubian Ascents Partners LLC for the redevelopment of Blair Lot. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Just a question. So I just want to go to the memo and understand. So if you said 5 phases, right? So still starting with the lab training and office building as the first phase that goes, and parking garage. Just trying to get a sense of how, again, with all of the lab, the state of the lab market in life sciences, how that, how the developers feel about that leading the charge there in phase 1.
Yeah, or Rebecca.
Happy to jump in. So I think of particular note, one of the goals of the Plan Nubian process was economic development opportunities. So rather than focusing on a lab building as you would think about in the context of this, it's lab training specifically. So both, I think we've been working very closely with the proponent, talking through their proposed tenancy for this building. And so having that lab training space to really foster and be in the heart of Nubian Square, an opportunity for folks to come and learn, but then also having other commercial tenants, thinking institutions and other places that contribute to the lab market, but a little less in the technical, actual, wet labs and those type of things. And so it is very much more, I think, what you would consider traditional office space that's adjacent to lab rather than lab itself.
Makes sense. No, thank you for the clarification. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Yoon.
Thank you so much.
Item number 4, request authorization to amend the engineering design services contract with Foth Infrastructure and Environment LLC for the Long Wharf East Seawall Rehabilitation Project in the Central Wharf District in an amount not to exceed $39,020, and to extend the contract until November 25th, 2025 for completion of the remaining tasks. William.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. This matter was last before you October of 2024 when we got authorization to award this $1.8 million construction contract to Coastal Marine. Foth is the engineer of record for this. As a brief reminder, over the past decade, the team has been working to stabilize the granite block seawall, the historic seawall of Long Wharf. It's been subject to more intense wave action, much greater propeller displacement due to the larger ships that are out there, and all too frequent storm surges. So we've been going and installing underwater buttresses, essentially at the toe of the wall, to really stabilize those bottom granite blocks. The work that's currently underway is about 90% complete. It's on the east end of Long Wharf, which is the end that faces the harbor. It's the end that takes the brunt of the wave action. There have been no big surprises. We're happy about that. But we did find a couple of voids, pretty significant in size. We expected them, but they're difficult to plan exactly how many, where they're located, and how large. So we weren't really surprised, but it was not included in the original construction contract. So it slowed us down just a little bit. I'll be back next month asking for some more money for that construction contract. Today, I'm asking for additional funds for the engineer of record to assist us with the final levels of assessment, and most importantly, with the negotiation of this work to make sure that we get a fair price. So the original contract was for $461,285. We are seeking a modest amendment of $39,020, bringing the total contract to $500,305. And as I said, I'll be back next month to talk more about the construction costs. Happy to answer any questions you may have now, though.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Just a brief question. Obviously, fully support this. I mean, resiliency is key. We have been extraordinarily lucky in Boston that many of these superstorms hit when they did. Had the tide been a little bit higher, could have been devastating. So I guess I quite obviously support this, want to see more. Do we have a I assume the answer is yes, which is why I'm asking, like a ranking system of different seawalls or areas that we need to prioritize some of these fundings going forward? And can you talk a little bit about that? How often is it assessed, and what's our backlog look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So every 3 years, we look at all of the waterfront infrastructure owned by both the BRA and the EDIC. We will also include certain City of Boston-owned properties. We do that assessment, and that will actually identify the seawalls in the greatest need. We last did that about a year ago, and out of that assessment, we had identified some work that needs to happen out at Long Wharf North, which is currently under design. So that type of assessment allows us to get a little bit of a heads up. The work that we're doing here, I've said it before, you'll probably remember, it's all necessary in order to do the future resiliency improvements. So first step is to stabilize this foundation. But we do have also, as you know, efforts underway out in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park, and we have a design contract that we are executing out in Flagship Wharf that you'll be authorizing hopefully in the next month or so to address other seawalls. Yep.
Additional questions or comments? Look, well, I'm always fascinated by the engineering feat that this all is. So, just let's take a vote and wish you luck here. All right. So, if there are no other further questions or comments, motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, William.
Good
Good luck.
evening.
Item number 5, request authorization to amend the contract with Gell Studio to complete an additional survey in connection with Boston's framework for greening while growing in the amount of $20,000 to complete an additional survey. Sneha.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, Director Shen, and Secretary Polamis. I'm here to request authorization to execute an amendment to the consultant services contract for Boston's framework for greening while growing with Gale Studio. This framework builds on the city's 2023-2029 Open Space and Recreation Plan. Its goal is to create a citywide spatial and typological framework that guides how investments for private development can expand Boston's open space networks in ways that are inclusive, equitable, resilient, and accessible. The framework complements our publicly owned open spaces systems and networks and will be an important tool for decision-making going forward. The board awarded the contract to Gale Studios on April 11th, 2024 for an amount of $599,660. The work includes defining success measures, analyzing site context and data, community and stakeholder engagement, developing a framework, and producing a final report. We are requesting an amendment to increase the contract amount by $20,000, bringing the total to $619,660, which is a 3.3% increase. The additional funds will allow us to expand our survey work. To date, the consultant team has surveyed 15 privately generated open spaces and 6 public open spaces. With this amendment, we will be able to survey an additional 6 to 8 public open space types and locations. This will allow for more balanced analysis between private and public spaces and help us better understand what makes these public spaces feel civic and accessible and welcoming. The amendment covers the background preparation, coordination of on-ground survey, and integration of these findings into the overall framework deliverables. We recommend that the director be authorized to execute the $20,000 amendment for Gale Studios to complete the expansion of this survey. This concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? I do have a quick question. I just wanted to get a sense or an example of like privately versus publicly open publicly generated open spaces. Can you just give some context on kind of what we mean there?
Yes, so there are privately generated open spaces are the ones that we get through our Article 80 process, like the spaces that seem accessible, really like seamlessly, wouldn't even know that these are privately owned, but they are operated by the private developers. what our effort is to kind of really understand the existence of these open spaces and how it works within the overall open space network within the city.
Yeah.
And so that our decision making while we are asking for additional open space moving forward is more is grounded with what the city needs are and how they work together.
Okay, great. No, thank you. Additional questions or comments?
Just a quick comment, and I don't want us to spend too much time on this, but this seems it's such a small amount. It's 3% of a $600,000 RFP that we put out. Is this common that this happens? I'd assume we advertised this 2 years ago. They won. We were clear what the parameters were, and then they revised the scope. I'm just surprised they didn't just eat the scope of work to try to be in compliance. It's $20,000 on a $600,000
Yeah,
contract.
The first survey that they did included certain amount of sites. After we saw the results, we realized that it would be great to actually understand what public open spaces will function and what can be learned from parks here as well, as we are developing design guidelines and the overall framework. So it's kind of additional to what we originally had thought would comprise of this.
No, I get it. Again, this is important work. I'm not suggesting we don't support it, just, but it was more our extended scope of work for these vendors, which is what is necessitated this. Okay, thank you.
Great. Additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, item number 6, informational update regarding the updated review processes for sites with land disposition agreements located in the Coastal Flood Resilience Overlay District. So this is an informational update. Max.
Thank you so much. I think there's a presentation PowerPoint tied to this, so I'll wait until that's on the screen. Excellent. Thank you so much. We can go to the next slide. Hello, members of the board, Chair Rojas, Chief Shen, and Secretary Palamas. As the Planning Department continues to work towards a more climate resilient city, we find important opportunities to update our practices and procedures, improving both the efficiency of our internal processes and transparency in our external communications. As background, in 2019, the BPDA developed and adopted Coastal Flood Resilience Design Guidelines, and in 2021, the Coastal Flood Resilience Overlay District, or CFROD as it's known, was adopted in the zoning code as Article 25A. The CFROD protects Bostonians by establishing resilient design guidelines like flood elevation for new construction and retrofits, and ensures that projects protect our most vulnerable populations by requiring applicable projects be reviewed for resilience impacts. Next slide, please. Simultaneously, we are mindful of the fact that many of our communities along the waterfront, particularly in District 1, that are most susceptible to climate change are also in historic areas with other requirements that proponents must navigate. This concern often gets raised as proponents seek to understand the covenants within urban renewal-related documents like land disposition agreements or LDAs. And in fact, as you see on the screen shown here in the dark blue, there are hundreds of parcels throughout the city that are subject both to CFROD requirements and to the terms of an LDA. LDAs usually contain design review and planning guidelines that control the height, land use, FAR, parking ratio, and other elements on certain parcels. When a project is proposed to advance resilience on a parcel with an LDA, it's therefore essential that any elements of the project impacted by that LDA are communicated to all parties, evaluated in the appropriate context, and decision-making and guidance can be delivered efficiently and consistently. Go to the next slide, please. The rising threat of climate change and the need to proactively streamline resilience project reviews is why the policy, urban design, and planning teams have come together in collaboration with Councillor Coletta Zapata's office to clarify our review process for projects with an LDA that are in the CFROD. The updated procedures illustrated in the flow chart on the right of this screen you now see will be available on the Planning Department's website moving forward. This process at a high level clarifies that new projects impacted by both the CFROD and LDAs will be submitted to a specific contact within the new joint LDA review committee, which will meet regularly and be comprised of staff from the policy, urban design, and planning teams. The LDA review committee then works with the proponent on any changes needed to the plans, guides them through any necessary board approvals like minor modifications to urban renewal plans or amendments to LDAs, and returns the stamped plans in a timely manner. The interdisciplinary nature of the new LDA Review Committee ensures that any separate review issues, whether related to urban renewal policy, legal language, or design, are flagged and workshopped collaboratively so all parties are aligned on the path forward. In closing, we're grateful for the ongoing collaboration between the various planning department teams and Councillor Coletta Zapata's office that generated this updated and streamlined review process. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this important matter, and my colleagues and I are available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. I do want to recognize that we have Councillor Coletta Zapata here. If you would like to take the floor and say anything, you're very welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Madam Chair, members of the board. It's been a couple years since I've been here physically in person, so first of all, it's great to see all of you, Secretary Chair, Chief Shen, and Madam Secretary. I just want to provide a few comments that I've written down because this has been a collaborative partnership with the BPDA, and I want to give a shout out to Max and everybody. But here, obviously, in strong support of this, this proposed reform reflects the critical intersection of climate adaptation and effective governance. As Boston faces the growing threats of sea level rise and coastal flooding, we must ensure that our review processes are not only robust, but they are agile enough to support resilient, compliant, and equitable development. This came directly from community, my constituents at Harbor Towers. The inefficiencies of the current system were made especially clear as in the case of Harbor Towers, a seafront site along the downtown waterfront. In that instance, the proponent sought to construct a protective wall to safeguard gallery space from coastal flooding. This effort aligned with the City of Boston's resiliency goals. However, their proposal also included an expansion of the footprint to accommodate office or lounge space. While planning appropriately flagged this, requiring further review under LDA regulations, the proposal had already received approval from ISD, highlighting a breakdown in interdepartmental coordination. The result was time-consuming, costly, and avoidable back-end delay for all parties involved. This example underscores why earlier engagement from legal and policy staff, coordinated with urban design and resilience planning, is so essential. The current process, which places responsibility for LDA compliance on ISD at the final permit stage, leaves critical legal questions unresolved until far too late in the process. The Planning Department's updated framework ensures that LDA requirements are integrated into project planning from the outset, substantially improving both efficiency and accountability. I'm particularly encouraged by the creation of the LDA Review Committee, which will be a cross-functional team of design, urban renewal, legal, and resilience staff that will coordinate early and often with proponents. By establishing a clear point of contact in a unified review body, the Planning Department is setting the stage for proactive problem-solving, reduced permitting delays, and greater public trust in our development review processes. Again, I want to thank the Planning Department, Max, Kathleen, Alexa, and Amber for their partnership in moving this work forward, and I respectfully urge the BPDA board to adopt these reforms. These changes will empower the city to better meet the demands of climate resilience while providing a fairer and clearer path forward for proponents. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to say a few words to you all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Councillor. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? This is an informational update, so
just briefly wanted to acknowledge Councillor Coletta Zapata for her great leadership and inspiring work on this. It is vitally important, and it's been I've been incredibly impressed to see how she's tackled the issues around sustainability and resiliency. Obviously, it's personal to her, given her beloved district, but it's something that this city needs to do. So well done, Councillor.
Yeah, this is great to see, and also just the collaboration between the councilor's office and the city, I think, is really notable. So thanks out to everyone.
yeah, and I'll just pile on. I love a flow chart. I also know how difficult they are to put together and how much work goes into making that a one page and working all of those arrows out and figuring out when you gotta loop it back around and do a different color, all that. So I do believe in again the process that we're demonstrating here. And responding to something that's so specific and urgent and complicated with this LDA and the urban renewals and all of the everything. Just appreciate all of the collaboration and great work, and I believe this is part of continuing to build and rebuild trust in the work that we all do together. So cool. All right. Well, that was an informational update. Thanks so much, Max. Okay, got a lot of information coming. Another informational update, item number 7, regarding a request for proposals for the creation of a guidebook on small multifamily residential buildings that reflects the city's goals for high-quality, accessible, and energy-efficient housing across all city neighborhoods, as well as development models that take into account code requirements and market conditions. Andrea.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Secretary Promeos, members of the board, and Director Shen. My name is Andrea, and I'm Senior Planner in the Zoning Reform team. I'm here to present the Small Multifamily Guidebook. Next slide. The goal of this RFP is to develop a guidebook focused on small multifamily, which are residential buildings typically ranging between 6 and 14 units that are well suited for neighborhoods, Boston's neighborhoods. The guidebook will include designs that reflect the city's goals for high quality, accessible, and energy efficient housing across all neighborhoods, and also development models and take into account market conditions and code requirements. The 8 Eagle Guidebook, which you all are familiar with, will serve as an inspiration for this new guidebook. Next slide. Small multifamily buildings don't currently fit neatly in our zoning or our processes. But they are prevalent across our neighborhoods and help provide needed types of housing, including inclusionary units, accessible units, more fire-safe units, etc. The guidebook will provide not only clear guidance and a roadmap for developers, architects, or community partners like CDCs or land trusts interested in building these kinds of projects. They will also present financially viable and context-sensitive designs that will be aligned with the city goals. It will also serve as an outreach and education tool for the general public to understand how these types of buildings fit in our neighborhoods. And it will inform us in the zoning reform team as we work through residential zoning updates. Next slide. As part of the existing conditions work that we've been doing in preparation for this RFP, we found that there's a lot of existing small multifamily buildings across Boston which vary in size and style. Next slide. And as you can see in this map, we can affirm that all of Boston's residential neighborhoods outside of the downtown core have existing multifamily buildings that range between 6 and 14 units. Next slide. Beyond these existing conditions analysis work, the planning staff team will continue to work with the selected consultant team throughout the whole production of the guidebook in order to ensure that the project budget is focused on core RFP tasks that align with the consultant team's strength. We have thought of a strategy in which the city staff can support. Planning department staff will provide existing conditions analysis, zoning analysis, and will lead public engagement, whereas a consultant will provide design knowledge and expertise, knowledge around development feasibility, and identify potential improvements to the scale of buildings in order to achieve the city's goals and design excellence. Next slide. The guidebook will include between 12 and 18 design examples at a variety of scales that fit well within typical parcels in Boston's neighborhoods. It will include market feasibility and affordable housing production analysis. It will include hints and guidance around how to comply with accessibility standards, generalized understanding of building and energy code, how the building relates to the site design, and design guidelines. Next slide. Each one of these typologies will have key drawings, site plan, and urban design analysis. We'll have a proposed program including the types of units, the square footage per unit, the intended occupancy, whether how many of them are affordable, what is the target population. As I said before, it will also include regulatory considerations around fire code, building code, inclusionary zoning, and ADA standards. And It will include sensitivity analysis, which is an understanding of how changes in key financial variables impact the overall feasibility, and potential deal structures, ownership and financing models that work both for private developers but also for nonprofit-led developers, CDCs, or land trusts. Next slide. As I said, the planning department staff will support the consultant with engagement that will happen throughout the whole production of the guidebook. The intent of this engagement is to build buy-in with neighborhood associations and organizations like CDCs, land trusts, and developers that are focused in the scale of housing, to collaborate and share ideas with community groups around what small multifamily homes should look like, to create educational tools that will lead to buildable projects, and to create a guidebook that community groups can use without staff facilitation to help others on this endeavor. Next slide. So the RFP was released at the end of July. We are expecting to receive proposals next week, and we will be having interviews with vendors between August 25 and September 8. Our aim is to have a contractor, a consultant team selected by mid-September. In the meantime, during the procurement process, planning department staff has been working on preparing phase 1 of engagement and on the existing conditions analysis that I mentioned before. The objective is that the work will last approximately 9 months with a consultant. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. This is an informational update, but if any board members have questions or comments?
Yeah, one question, I guess two questions. Thank you. I love guidebooks. I love the ADU. Anything we can do to help explain the Byzantine zoning code that we and many cities live in, I think is great. So I love this. So any responses to the RFPs yet? Is my first question.
We haven't received any yet.
Okay,
The deadline
I got
is
2 days.
on Monday, but we had a Q&A session, and we had around 6 different teams join.
And these are, I assume, these are like design firms who are vying for it. We give them the information, they make it look digestible. Great. And then second of all, if you asked me 10 minutes ago what a small multifamily was, I'd say a triple decker or even a two-family.
Right?
So if you get double digits, I think it's a small apartment building. So how would we classify a 2, 3, 4, or 5 family home?
We're calling small multifamily 6 to 14.
Yeah.
And 2, 3, 4, 5 would be small.
Very
I don't
small?
know. Smaller density.
Hi all, Kathleen Onnefer, I'm our Deputy Director of Zoning. So fun fact, the zoning code actually calls out 2 families and 3 families as their own special land use code.
Okay.
Right now, in most districts, when you get to 4, it doesn't matter if it's 4 or 400 units, you're multifamily. So we have been thinking in writing the ADU guidebook, a lot of that looked at projects generally between, right, because it was adding a UDU too, but buildings that went from 1 to sort of 4 or 5 units. We think that 6 to 14 is really a space that makes sense as we look at both inclusionary zoning kicking in at 7 units at the sort of traditional double, triple decker, and 14 being the Article 80 small project threshold. So I think we're going to find out some really interesting things as we look at some of the physical and the fiscal pieces here about the size of units and the types of residential uses that can get delivered in these different things as it intersects with these other code requirements.
So we give 2 family and 3 families their own characterization. Are triple deckers the same as 3 families? Because we know they are not necessarily.
The physical form of a triple decker and the 3 family as a use are not technically coterminous in the code, but largely.
Okay. Yeah. I think we should celebrate the iconic triple decker as an image of Boston, and we should make it free zoning for all triple deckers across the city of Boston to protect the landmark.
Noted.
I'm kidding, people. I'm kidding. Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? I just want to echo, I think it's really great. I love the guidebooks. I love this continuation. I love how the different visuals and even the examples of what that looks like in each neighborhood was really helpful. And I just think that the way that you guys, design these, there's a lot of designing going on, but like the design, the guidebooks, it really unlocks like the imagination and like picturing of like what could be, right? Like, and it's, or some examples of what could be. So, again, big fan, love your work. Yeah, I think it's really, really helpful, and it's going to help us kind of create and reimagine, reuse, right, some of these spaces that that one where it's like, I don't know if it was Dorchester JP, that was like this big thing. I'm sure at some point was like a single person family kind of thing, and now it can be like 14 units or whatever, however many, wherever it falls. So yeah, no, I just think it's exciting. So this was informational. Thank you for the information. Thank you, Andrea. You did a really great job. Okay, item number 8. Request authorization to sign municipal planning board notification forms declaring the intention of the project at 220 William F. McClellan Highway and the intention of Hangman Productions USA Incorporated to file Chapter 91 license applications with the Department of Environmental Protection. Eliana.
Good evening, Chair Rojas. That's it. Secretary Polimas, members of the board, and Director Shen. My name is Ilana Hames, and I'm presenting to inform you of 2 projects seeking a Chapter 91 license pursuant to the Public Waterways Act. Part of said licensing process involves notifying the municipal planning board or local equivalent of a project's application for such license. The first of these projects is a temporary use of Fan Pier Cove by Hangman Productions for a cliff diving competition planned for September 20th, 2025. Mark your calendars. The proponent is seeking a license for a diving platform and access and is expected to meet all stipulations set forth by the Code of Massachusetts regulations for temporary projects on tidelands serving a water-dependent use. Next slide, please. The second of these applications is a filing for a complete Chapter 91 license to replace a temporary license at 220 William F. McClellan Highway in East Boston. The project site contains a non-water dependent use, but leases out parcel area to water-dependent industrial uses to comply with designated port area regulations. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. Item number 9, we have a certificate of completion. I think, Matt, was this, you were getting recused yourself?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
It just says in yellow.
Yes, thank you.
All right, item number 9, request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of the 109 Brookline Avenue building located in the Fenway neighborhood in accordance with the cooperation agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency and IQHQ 109 Brooklyn 1 LLC dated as of November 17th, 2022. There's no presentation. We'll get a summary at the end, but motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
A roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. All right. Do you want to just flag Matt? He can come back in? Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and start reading. This is another certificate of completion. Request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of the Kenmore Square redevelopment project located in the Fenway neighborhood in accordance with the cooperation agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency and RREF2 Kenmore Lesser 2 LLC and RREF2 Kenmore Lesser 3 LLC, care of Related Beal LLC, dated October 8th, 2019. No presentation, so a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 11, another certificate of completion. Request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of 350 Boylston Street, located in the Back Bay neighborhood in accordance with section C.4 of the amended and restated
cooperation agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency and Arlington Boylston Realty Trust dated June 19th, 2020. No presentations, so a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 12, another certificate of completion. It's great, we've been productive. Request authorization to issue a certificate of completion in accordance with Section 304 of the Land Disposition Agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency and Leah Popilarski. Hope I did that a little bit justice. Trustee of 54 Beaumont Realty Trust dated July 24th, 2017, and as further amended by the amended and restated land disposition agreement dated November 29th, 2017, and to take all related actions in connection with the successful completion of the improvements on parcel R-9B in the Charleston urban renewal area, project number Mass R-55, located at 54 through 56 Belmont Street. So there's no presentation. We'll go straight to a vote. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. So all those certificate of completions, we'll hear some commentary on the successes of those. We'll celebrate at the end. But on to item number 13, request authorization to issue a certification of approval pursuant to Article 80E Small Project Review of the Zoning Code for the proposed construction of 19 home ownership units, including 3 inclusionary zoning units, 17 car parking spaces, 26 bicycle parking spaces, and 1,007 square feet of retail space located at 344 through 350 Washington Street, and to enter into a community benefits agreement and to take all related actions. Zoe.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shen, and Secretary Polhumis. My name is Zoe Schutte. I'm a project manager in the Development Review Division of the Planning Department. We're here before you today to discuss the proposed Article 80E small project located at 344 to 350 Washington Street in Brighton. The proposed project consists of a new 6-story mixed-use condominium building containing approximately 32,717 gross square feet, with 19 residential home ownership units, ground floor commercial space, 17 vehicle parking spaces, 20 resident bike parking spaces, and 6 visitor bike parking spaces. The proponent filed a small project review application on June 25th, 2025. The Planning Department hosted a virtual public meeting, which was held on July 30th, which was advertised in the local newspapers and posted on the Planning Department website with a notification email sent to all subscribers of the Brighton Neighborhood Update List. The public comment period for this project ended on August 11th, and I will now turn it over to my colleague Michelle to present the planning context before the development team begins the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. Good evening, Chair Rojas, Secretary Polhumis, members of the board, and Director Shen. My name is Michelle Yee, and I am the planning review team planner assigned to this project. Next slide, please. The proposed project at 344 to 350 Washington Street is located in the Allston-Brighton Neighborhood Zoning District within a neighborhood shopping subdistrict. This portion of Washington Street is located within the Brighton Center commercial node, where it contains a mix of commercial and mixed-use buildings. In regards to transportation, this area is well serviced as it is accessible to multiple MBTA bus lines, including the 57, 65, 86, and 501. My apologies. The proposed project also falls within the boundaries of the Allston-Brighton Needs Assessment, which is approved and adopted by the BPDA board in January 2024. As this project is proposing a transit-oriented mixed-use building with 3 units of income-restricted housing, this is consistent with the need for accessible and affordable housing found in the Needs Assessment. Next slide, please. Within these figures, the proposed project is compared to the existing zoning. The left shows the proposed project, while the pink on the figure on the right highlights the maximum height and setbacks that could be built within this area. As you can see, while the proposed project could build out to the area in pink, zoning relief is recommended due to its location within the Brighton Center commercial node, where greater height and density aligns well with the local planning context. Additionally, this project will bring many public realm improvements, including improving the sidewalk and streetscape on Washington Street and Academy Hill Road, and will include 4 new street trees. Thank you, and now I'll turn it over to the development team to present the project in more detail.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Zoe. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shen, Secretary Palamas. My name is Justin Burns. I'm the zoning attorney for this project from Pulgini and Norton. Representing on this proposal, I want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to speak on behalf of the project at 344 Washington Street. I think the folks from planning did a great job describing the process and context behind this project here. This was an extensive and collaborative effort between the planning department and our development team to develop a building that we feel is a true benefit to this area of Brighton. The construction of 19 two-bed condominium units, including 3 IDP units, will be a welcomed home ownership opportunity for those looking to dig their roots here in the city. Its location along Washington Street in a very active corridor will provide future residents with a wealth of walkable amenity locations, allowing them to truly immerse themselves into the community. And the building itself will actually aid in that activity level on Washington Street, bring commercial space right up to the streetscape along the street, where the existing building is currently set back by parking spaces. I think that the beneficial nature of a project like this is best reflected in community feedback. At our public meeting, the responses to this project were overwhelmingly positive, with most focused on the opportunity for home ownership. The same can be said for responses that we've fielded outside of the public meeting. So again, we feel that this project has discernible value to the community it resides in. We look forward to continuing design review with the planning department staff should the board give their approval. With that, I will pass it off to Mark Sullivan of Chu & Company to go through our plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Secretary Palamas, and Director Shen. Nice to see all of you. My name is Mark Sullivan with Chu & Company Architects, and we're excited to share with you this proposal for 344 to 350 Washington Street in Brighton. Next slide, please. The project site is located on a corner lot in Brighton Center with the primary frontage along Washington Street and secondary frontage along Academy Hill Road. While Washington Street consists of mostly ground floor commercial retail space and upper story residential uses, Academy Hill Road is primarily a transitional street introducing a more residential typology. With this in mind, this project design looks to bridge the gap between the commercial street wall of Washington Street and that residential character neighborhoods to the south. Next slide, please. The 6-story proposal, as mentioned, will include just over 1,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space and 19 new home ownership units, 3 of which will be designated as affordable. The new commercial space is intended to be utilized by the existing Dunkin' Donuts on site. An enclosed parking garage will house 17 new parking spaces, and a new bike room will house 20 resident bikes parking spaces. Next slide, please. Programmatically, the new commercial space and residential lobby are placed along Washington Street to continue the character of the street wall and promote pedestrian engagement. An enclosed parking garage will have its entry off of Academy Hill Road and its exit onto Washington Street. We are introducing several public improvements along both street frontages, including a new furnishing zone with sidewalk trees, visitor bike parking spaces, as well as a new crosswalk and accessible pedestrian ramp at the intersection of Washington Street and Academy Hill Road. Next slide, please. Looking at the Washington Street elevation, the massing moves become more clear as the corners of the building erode through building stepbacks at the corners and begin to introduce exterior terrace space for each unit. The top floor is then further stepped back to help further descale the overall massing feel. Next slide, please. And then looking at the Academy Hill Road elevation, we can kind of see similar design language, turn the corner and unify that massing motif. The corner erosion also occurs at the back corner on the left of this image here as a way to transition to the residential fabric to the south as previously mentioned. Next slide, please. And here we can see the proposed project looking west down Washington Street, really highlighting that corner intersection and demonstrating those massing moves I just mentioned. Next slide, please. And then this is a view looking the opposite way, so east down Washington Street, and it emphasizes that continuity along that Washington Street ground floor with the commercial space that exists there today. Next slide, please. The material palette consists of 2 main materials, the first being an iron spot brick that makes up the majority of the facade. The second is that wood horizontal paneling that really only occurs to help emphasize key massing moments and entry points.
The utilization of brick is to directly ground the design into its existing contextual surroundings, mainly the two historic buildings that are across the street on Washington. That brick material terminates after the 5th floor to directly relate to that pre-existing brick building height across the street. And then a change to that wood material helps emphasize the top floor step back. Next slide, please. And then here we can see a kind of zoomed in view of the commercial entry and how that material change and that wood paneling is used for those detail moments that help circulate the pedestrian traffic along the ground floor. Next slide, please. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? So, I mean, I think like most developments, there's always the questions of traffic and affordability and kind of design and scaling. Can you just talk to us a little bit about kind of how your conversations with the community went around those, and just any considerations on those topics of kind of traffic and different things like that?
We did a conducive study of the actual traffic to get to where we are now, not only with the BPD Transportation Department, but a third-party transportation consultant to determine that that one-way entrance off of Academy Hill Road and the one-way exit onto Washington Street provided the best circulation to not impact the current traffic conditions, but not also send more traffic into the residential neighborhoods to the south, because Academy Hill Road's a one-way road.
Yeah.
So we did look at the possibility of doing a two-way entrance exit on that road and determine that it would actually add more traffic to circulate all the way around back to Washington Street. So from a transportation department perspective, that's kind of how we approach that.
Oh, that's really interesting. And
Through the chair.
please.
Yes, because I kind of want to follow up with that. As far as conversations with the community and the residents in the area, what about the size, 6 stories? I mean, I did see the setbacks, which are good. Brighton has a lot of development in it, but not in that particular area. So how were the conversations with?
During the community meeting, we actually, but most of the abutters wanted to see it go up higher because I think because of some of the constraint and more units, but some of the constraints of the site being a little bit smaller and two kind of landlocked areas where it's not a street side, we were kind of only able to accomplish what you see here today. But most of the comments actually resulted in asking for more units and more density. So we found that this was a nice, appropriate mix of a balance between the two.
Great. Any other questions or comments? All right. Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Congratulations. Good
Thank
luck.
you so much.
All right, item number 14, request authorization to issue a certification of approval pursuant to Article 80E Small Project Review of the Zoning Code for the proposed construction of 47 residential rental units, including 9 inclusionary zoning units, 21 car parking spaces located at 1444 through 1446 Dorchester, and to enter into a community benefits agreement and to take all related actions. Tyler.
Good evening and thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Secretary Polimis, and Director Shen. My name is Tyler Ross. I'm a Senior Project Manager in the Development Review Division. The proposal before you is the 1444 to 1446 Dorchester Ave Article 80 Small Project located in Dorchester. On June 3rd, 2025, the developer filed a small project review application for the project. The proposed project consists of a renovation and reconfiguration of an existing commercial and storage building into a residential building, along with an addition of a new construction 5th story, totaling to 47 new residential units with 21 parking spaces and 9 IDP units. Additionally, the planning department hosted a public meeting on June 24, 2025, which was well attended and advertised in the local newspapers. The proponent also has support from the local District City Councilor. With that, I will now turn it over to Ella from the Planning Division to discuss the planning context for the project before David from the development team begins the presentation. Lastly, I want to say thank you to the members of the public, elected officials, city agencies who helped review the proposed 1444 to 1446 Dorchester Ave project. Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler. Good evening, Chair Rojas, Secretary Polhemus, members of the board, and Director Shen. My name is Ella. I'm a senior planner on the planning review team. The project before you is at a prominent intersection in Fields Corner. And during our Article 80 review, went through a couple significant changes in its evolution that I wanted to highlight. So Planning Department staff worked collaboratively with staff of the Landmarks Commission and with the proponent to ensure that the reuse and investment of the historical building on site. The original proposal had the new residential construction at the rear of the site kind of hidden behind parking, and so that got shifted to activate the public realm and continue the street wall along the street, and we expanded the sidewalks to be consistent with complete streets guidelines. Those were just some of the changes during Article 80 review. Next slide, please. You're familiar with this table, but this compares the proposal with the zoning and adopted plans and policy. So in terms of use, zoning relief will be required. Residential is allowed here, but it's conditional on the ground floor. We recommend zoning relief since there will be active uses still along the primary frontage. In terms of dimensions, the proposal does exceed the existing zoning, but we recommend dimensional relief here given the neighborhood context, the prominent intersection, and the proximity to transit. And then in terms of transportation, it's consistent with complete streets guidelines, adopted transportation department bike parking guidelines, and the maximum parking ratios. Next slide. And I also just want to note that this site is in the heart of the Fields Corner plan area, the Squares and Streets initiative. So as a reminder, Squares and Streets is a citywide zoning planning initiative that focuses on small geographic areas to reflect community needs and identify actionable steps for the next 5-10 years. So in Fields Corner, the planning study was kicked off in May 2024. There's been a series of visioning exercises. Just last night, I think, there was an anti-displacement workshop. So as that planning process proceeds, and if there are any plans or zoning that's adopted, that will inform future planning contexts once those are adopted. Thanks very much. With that, I'll turn it over to the development team to explain the project.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Ella. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Secretary Polhemus, Director Shen, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley, zoning and permitting attorneys on the project. With me today is David O'Sullivan from O'Sullivan Architects, the project architect. We also have members of the ownership and development team remote as well. First, just want to quickly thank Tyler and staff from the planning department for all their hard work and input, as you could see on the project, as well as to the area's elected officials, District City Councilor Fitzgerald, at-large Councilor Murphy. All their time and valuable input really helped shape the project. So quickly, this is the site map. Again, Fields Corner section of Dorchester. It's at the confluence of 3 streets, Dorchester Ave, Adams Street, and Leonard Street. A very close walk to the busway and to the MBTA red line on Fields Corner, as you can see here, and just a ton of walkable amenities in Fields Corner. Next slide, please. Site context, again, you can see where we're at on the corner of those 3 streets. Lots of inadequate sidewalks, minimum street trees, limited access to open space. It's really a uniquely shaped corner lot with a bunch of street frontages and no housing. It's a long time commercial building, so it's really an exciting project for us because we're saving the existing building, but also really we feel it's ripe for infill development and new housing at a site where there's none. Next slide, please. So this is the site from, again, various vantage points, lots of impervious surfaces. The entire site is actually paved. It's got an existing 4-story mixed-use commercial brick building, just under 40,000 square feet. Retail stores, a bank, most importantly, a post office is at this site on the ground floor, which will remain as a tenant, offices and old warehouse storage on the upper floors. Next slide. And this is just additional conditions of the existing site, because it actually includes the historic Clapp Field House built in the late 1700s, which you can see here in various vantage points and at the inside bottom middle. It was later converted into this storage facility with the rest of the site in the early 1900s, became the O'Hearn Warehouse and added to the larger warehouse building that it's connected to. Obviously, it doesn't look very historic anymore. If you walked by it, tucked behind the building, you might not know that it's has so much history to it, but the plan is to save and repurpose this building, as you'll see in a minute, into 2 new dwelling units, so it will remain on the site. Next slide. And this is an overview of the site, and then I'll toss it to David. You can see the existing building on the right, on the street, and then how the new proposed wing 5-story building behind it is being added, and there will be a change of use on the upper floors of the existing building to residential, and then the entire new proposed wing along the rear street will be all residential, above the post office as well, which is in that area. So we are keeping about 15,800 square feet of existing storage, including the post office. We're renovating just over 21,000 square feet of those upper floors into residential living. And then that rear addition is about 28,000 square feet, keeping us just under in the 49,000 square foot range for small project review. I think you heard 47 residential units, but I don't think it was said 9 of these are affordable, so almost 20% affordable. 2 of these units in the whole building are 3 bedrooms, and 1 of them will be an affordable 3-bedroom, again, in an area where there's no housing right now. And then the last thing I'll note is all that area you see in green, that courtyard and permeable pavers, that's all paved right now. So we really worked hard with the planners and the city to use that space. Really, it's going to be an awesome amenity for the residents and for people who work in the building to use that space, which is kind of tucked behind the new building and some of the existing buildings. And then finally, you'll see the existing historic Clapp Field House that's going to be remain on site and become 2 new units. So with that, I will pass it over to David, and he'll just quickly go through some elevations and some renderings, and we'll wrap it up. David, all you.
David O'Sullivan, O'Sullivan Architects. Just a couple other things to note on the site plan. We're utilizing the existing curb cut from the old parking lot and putting all the parking underground. So, so the parking is all underground. There's a grade change along Leonard, so we only have to go down about half a level. Next slide. These elevations here show the front is the Adams Street, kind of the Dorchester over to the left side of it. The music hall used to be there, is on the right side. There are large windows there. Those are existing still behind brick, so we're able to restore those as part of it, the restoration. On the lower slide, you'll see this Leonard Street elevation of the music hall. So those will actually be able to be reopened and used. We've been working with landmarks and with historic photos and things. And then the new addition, you can see a kind of a connector, which gives a residential entry, and the new building. Next slide. This just quick sections. The top one, you can see the Fields House. We kept the new building away from it enough so we can get that green courtyard between them. You can see the parking on this underneath. The lower slide, the building on Dorchester Ave, Adams Street, is on the right. We're putting a green roof on there. We're doing basically both solar on the roof and a roof deck amenity for the residents, and then the adjacent building on the back with a connector that is small as we can make it so it doesn't impact the historic building. Next slide. This is kind of a render. You can see the driveway way over to the right. We're doing street trees all the way along Leonard Street, as well as adding some bike parking, street furniture. We're working with Complete Streets. We pulled the building back enough so that we can widen the sidewalk there and create tree wells, as well as having plenty of room for accessibility. Next slide. This is the view kind of from the corner of Adams and Leonard. See the new window, the restored windows, and then our building to the back is the addition. Post office is right here on the corner. Next slide. This is more from Dorchester Ave. You saw the existing condition. They're just a big blank, third and fourth floors are just blank brick. We're going to put new windows in there, kind of in the character of what's already there on the second floor. Next. Just want to touch on a few things here. The building will be for housing. It will be done to LEED Gold certifiable and passive house standards. It's an all-electric building. The garage will have EV charging. There will be solar power for the roof. And as we said, we're planting new street trees along Leonard Street where there's just pavement. The courtyard as well, which is all just pavement. And finally, we've been able to preserve that historic house and return the music hall in the corner to its former glory. Thank you.
Great. Does that conclude the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Okay. Questions or comments from the board?
I'll kick things off. Looks great. It's an attractive looking building. Love to see the brick. Love to see the obviously the preservation. So I appreciate that. What's this? How much PV is going to be on the roof? I appreciate the solar power inclusion, but
We haven't done an exact analysis yet, but we can do part of the whole new building addition minus some mechanical space, and then about a third of the main roof of the old building.
okay, great. And how many EV chargers will be in the garage?
We haven't determined that, but it'll be at least meeting code, if not, and all of the spaces are required to be pre-wired at least.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's great. I mean, the more you can do, the better. That's obviously an issue that we're dealing with, but I think it's a sharp looking. I think it's a sharp looking project, and appreciate when we can preserve existing structures and just not throw up sort of these typical big boxy buildings. It really means so much. So great work to your team, and thanks to Tyler and the team here as well, and Ella as well. So thank you.
Additional questions or comments? You're good. Can you talk to me? I noticed the courtyard. It says introduction of a new large courtyard to serve as a public amenity. Can you tell me a little bit about how you imagine that to be, or just anything about this courtyard?
It's more just a seating area, open space. Kind of got rid of all the pavement that was back there.
Yeah.
Assume that people, not everyone in the building is going to want to go to the roof deck. They may want to be to a more quieter space. So we're looking at kind of little nodes of seating and pathway to get you from Leonard Street into the Fields Mansion and also into the back kind of connector piece that connects the whole new and old building.
Yeah, great. No, I always like the inclusion of a courtyard in the open space and aligning to kind of some of the studies that we're doing to inventory all this and make sure that we have more than just permeable pavement or non-permeable pavement throughout the city. So I just want to call that out, and also call out the 60% AMI level for those inclusionary. Doesn't go unnoticed, and commend you on working and finding a way to meet that very much needed affordability level. So, okay, if there are no other questions or comments, but motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Great building. Item number 15, request authorization to execute an affordable housing agreement for the proposed creation of one IDP home ownership unit in connection with the development located at 250 Bremen Street, and to take all related actions. Andy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Director Shen, Secretary Polhemus, and members of the board. I'm Andy Feldman, Housing Policy Manager with the Mayor's Office of Housing. Tonight, I'm here to request your vote on an affordable housing agreement for the proposed development at 250 Bremen Street in East Boston. This development proposes to build 8 condo units While it didn't trigger Article 80 due to its size, the developer has agreed to voluntarily restrict one unit. Therefore, the vote in front of you tonight will allow the agency to enter into an agreement to dedicate this one unit under the inclusionary development policy. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 16, request authorization to issue a certification of approval pursuant to Article 80E Small Project Review of the Zoning Code in connection with the Notice of Project Change filed by 9 Geneva Street LLC on July 23rd, 2025 for the proposed construction of 28 residential homeownership units, including 5 IDP units and 16 car parking spaces located at 9 Geneva Street, and to enter into an affordable housing agreement in connection with the proposed project and to take all related actions. Dan?
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair Rojas, members of the board, Director Shen, Secretary Polhemus. My name is Daniel Polanco. I'm the project manager for the expedited NPC before you tonight in regards to the 9 Geneva Street project located in East Boston neighborhood. The 9 Geneva Street project was originally approved by this board on June 13th, 2024 as a 5-story, 28-unit rental building. The developer now seeks to create 28 units as home ownership instead of rental units, which will be reflected in a new affordable housing agreement. There are no other changes to the project. Thank you for your time and consideration tonight. There's no presentation, but the development team attorney is here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 17, request authorization to enter into an affordable rental housing agreement and restriction in connection with the 43 through 47 Fremont Street project for the creation of 2 on-site inclusionary development units and take all related actions. Andy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Director Shen, Secretary Polhemus, and members of the board. I'm Andy Feldman, Housing Policy Manager with the Mayor's Office of Housing. Tonight, I'm here to request your vote on an affordable rental housing agreement and restriction for the proposed development at 43 to 47 Fremont Street in Mattapan. This development proposes to build 14 rental units. While it didn't trigger Article 80 due to its size, IDP does apply as it is 10 or more units. Therefore, the vote in front of you tonight will allow the agency to enter into an agreement to dedicate 2 units under IDP. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Andy. Item number, not 18, because that's a public hearing. So let's go to item number 19, request authorization to enter into a grant agreement with the City of Boston to utilize $500,000 of neighborhood development funds to support the Commercial Acquisition Assistance Program to address the displacement of small BIPOC-owned businesses and to build equitable pathways to commercial real estate ownership and to take all related actions. Amina.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shen, and Madam Secretary. Tonight, I'm presenting a request for authorization to enter into a grant agreement with the City of Boston, utilizing $500,000 from neighborhood development funds to support the launch of the Commercial Acquisition Assistance Program, or CAP. The program will leverage a $5 million public-private fund to attract more than $50 million in additional capital from lenders, CDFIs, and philanthropic partners. CAP will combine flexible financing tools such as loan loss reserves, interest rate buydowns, gap financing, and pre-development support with robust technical assistance from acquisition through post-closing. Staff recommend approval to authorize the director to enter into the grant agreement and take all necessary steps to advance this important initiative.
Any questions or comments from the board? I just want to say that I really enjoyed reading this this memo and and the strategic investment in being able to prioritize and help our BIPOC business and institutions. And it's always these little things, right, that are seemingly like little but not the keys to really unlocking the possibility of a lot of these partnerships and these projects and everything that goes on
you know, trickles from that. So this was just exciting for me to read. I don't know. Okay, if there are no other questions and comments, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Amina. But that's the next one's Amina too. Item number 20, request authorization to enter into a grant agreement with the Black Economic Council of Massachusetts to support the acquisition of 253 through 257 Roxbury Street in Roxbury, and to establish the BECMA Sustainability Hub using $100,000 of neighborhood development funds, and to take all related actions. Amina.
Thank you. So good evening again. I'm here to request authorization for $100K this time for usage of neighborhood development funds to support BECMA's finalizing the acquisition of their new sustainability hub, which is located on Roxbury Street in Nubian Square. The total acquisition cost for the property was actually $1.5 million, of which $1.4 has already been secured. The grant will retire the remaining short-term bridge loan from Eastern Bank, freeing BECMA to invest in green renovations and expanded community programming. As part of this public benefit commitment, BECMA will dedicate up to 2,000 square feet of the hub for public use at least one day per week, hosting community workshops, events, and partner collaborations. Staff recommends approval to authorize the director to enter into a grant agreement and complete the funding, needed to secure and activate this important community asset.
Okay, great. Questions or comments from the board?
How is this connected to the work at RCC?
I would have to get in touch with OEOI, who is leading this initiative. So I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
Okay, additional questions or comments? All right, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Amina. Thank you. And item number 21, contractual payments. I need a motion to pay our bills.
I would move that we pay our bills.
I would second that movement.
Okay, let's see. A roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Please pay the bills. And so we just have one more agenda item, which is our public hearing. So that can't start till 5:30. So we will see you all back here at 5:30. Thank you.